Hello friends, welcome to my soapbox. Today is Housing Soapbox Day, where I get up on my little platform and send my thoughts out into the world, or at least to you guys. So what has gotten me all fired up is I recently read an article from AXIOS titled, "The Problem with America's High Home Ownership Rate." Let me repeat that. The title says, "The Problem with America's High Home Ownership Rate. How can a high home ownership rate possibly be a problem?" Property ownership, owning one's own home, has been a foundational principle in this country since the founding. The article goes on to say America's decades-long love affair with home ownership is holding back the economy, hobbling the Federal Reserve, and exacerbating a national housing crisis. Really, Axios? Too much home ownership is the problem? It's not the years of government policies and Federal Reserve manipulation that's the problem? The article continues. Why it matters. We're stuck here now. At this point, there's just too much wealth stored in too many houses for anything to meaningfully change. Okay, the middle class having too much wealth is a problem? Would they really rather a nation of only renters, where an elite class owns all the real estate and the rest of us are renters with no opportunity to build equity or wealth? Years ago, I taught a new realtor course at our local board of realtors. One piece of this course had to do with just how foundational property ownership is to our country, as well as our communities. This country was founded on the concept of private property ownership, which is a relatively new concept. European land ownership was historically only for the wealthy and was largely determined by favor of the monarch. So let's talk about number one, the financial benefits to individuals, and number two, the benefits to your community when people are able to own their own home. All right, going back to this Axios article, the author writes, key stat, U.S. mortgage debt now totals $12 trillion, or 45% of GDP. That sounds pretty significant. The article is bemoaning the level of debt load in mortgages. Now, hang with me. I did a very short Google search and found a study published by an organization called Statista Research Department that says the value of homeowner equity in the United States increased from approximately 8.77 trillion US dollars in 2010 to approximately 29.3 trillion US dollars in 2022. That means as a nation, we have 40% more national equity than national mortgage debt. Axios. Now, we've talked about this before, but let's go through sort of the checklist of financial benefits associated with owning real property, your own home as well as investments. The value of your home will historically appreciate over the long term, adding to your net worth and, of course, future resale value. National appreciation values average around 3.5 to 3.8% per year. Obviously, there are years when that is a lot more, there are years when that is less, but over the course of history, the national appreciation averages 3.5 to 3.8% per year. Owning a home allows you to build equity versus paying rent where you don't gain ownership of any kind. Homeowners will be able to capitalize on their equity, which accumulates over time when they decide to sell. Even if they are unable to pay off the mortgage in full before selling, and it's common to not pay it off completely prior to selling, owners still see a monetary return depending on the time that they've owned the home and the mortgage type. If homeowners are able to pay off their homes, they will be able to live mortgage-free, drastically reducing their cost of living, helping to support a more comfortable retirement. The IRS also offers tax breaks to make home ownership more affordable by reducing your tax bill. The mortgage interest deduction allows homeowners to deduct the interest they pay on mortgage debt. Just one example. Tax depreciation on investment properties is another. Please always talk to your CPA for tax advice. I am not a tax guy, just a local broker trying to get the word out. Why would these people not want regular middle class folks to be able to tap into these financial benefits? Let's talk also about the benefits to our communities. There was a study done actually in 1997 that found that parents who own their home have a significant effect on their children's success. The decision to stay in school by teenage students is higher for those raised by home-owning parents. The authors of this 1997 study also point to certain behavioral characteristics required of homeowners that get passed on to their children. First, a home purchase naturally involves one of the largest financial commitments most households will undertake. Homeowners, therefore, don't tolerate some bad behavior by their children or children's friends that could negatively impact the value of homes in their neighborhood. Second, homeowners are required to take on greater responsibilities, such as home maintenance, acquiring the financial skill to handle mortgage payments. These life management skills get transferred to their children. In a study by Harkness and Newman, found that though home ownership raises educational outcomes for children, neighborhood stability further enhanced the positive outcome. Homeowners have a much greater financial stake in their neighborhoods. Because owners tend to remain in their homes longer, they add that degree of stability to the neighborhood. And they also tend to spend more time and money maintaining their residence, which also contributes to the overall quality of the surrounding community. The right to pass property to an heir or to another person also provides motivation to homeowners to properly maintain the property. That just got sort of tacked there on the end, but that's a really significant benefit to be able to start creating equity and generational wealth. Homeowners tend to be more involved in their communities. For example, homeowners were found to be more locally politically active. Homeowners participate in elections much more frequently than renters. A recent study found that 77% of homeowners said they had at some point voted in local elections, compared with 52% of renters. The study also found a greater awareness of the political process among homeowners. About 38% of homeowners knew the name of their local school board representative, compared with only 20% of renters. The authors also found a higher incidence of membership in voluntary organizations, church attendance among homeowners. Going back to our AXIOS article, it goes on to say, the big picture, life is an unpredictable journey. Like this is news? Okay, AXIOS. People change where they want or need to live all the time. And a country with 66% home ownership rate is not conducive to that. Like breaking your lease with your landlord is? The article goes on. We get married or divorced, children arrive, leave the home, maybe come back again. Parents sometimes move in. A job might appear in a different city, or an employer might embrace remote work, allowing a move to anywhere. Wealth and income rise and fall, affecting the amount of house we can afford. Personal taste changes too. Someone who loves a sleek downtown condo when they're in their 20s might prefer something secluded in the countryside a few decades later. For all these reasons and many more, there's huge value in being able to easily move from one house to another. Instead, the U.S. system has effectively locked millions of Americans into a single home, one they can often barely afford and might not even like. Have you seen the increase in rents that accompany the increase in home prices? You guys, the arguments in this article are laughable and frankly a little ridiculous, in my opinion. Probably not many of you will remember Jimmy Carter's malaise speech. July 15, 1979, he delivered one of the most pessimistic presidential speeches in American history. There were gas lines, rationing, trucker strikes, interest rates, and unemployment were way, way up. The nation was reeling. President Carter's speech, instead of rallying hope, made people feel like the cause of the country's ills were being placed on their backs. I get the sense that there is a feeling of malaise around our housing market. Let's be real, there is definitely an affordability issue, an availability issue, supply issues. We've talked about all of that. What is so troubling to me about articles like this is the contribution to the pessimism around the housing market. Property ownership is still one of the most accessible ways to build wealth. Don't let them take that away from you. Whether you are buying your own home, starting on your real estate investing journey, let's get a plan for you to be successful. Do we have to plan a little more right now? Yes. Is it possible some folks will have to adjust their expectations? Also, yes. If you can afford the payment, please don't let these people, articles like this, steer you away from all of the benefits of owning real property. Our current market is tough for a lot of people. Inventory, higher interest rates create real challenges. But what happens when interest rates drop again? Creating more market demand, creating higher prices again, if we haven't made up the housing inventory that we're lacking right now. I have been in the real estate industry since 1998. I have seen many markets, many ups, many downs. There are a few things that have been consistent throughout these turns in the market. Number one, people always need a place to live. People always need shelter. Number two, the market's going to change again. It will. Number three, people are extremely resilient. Don't let this market get you down. If you are a buyer, if you are a seller, there is always a path forward. We can get a plan for your real estate goals to be successful. Thanks for listening to my soapbox rant. I am glad you're here. Next week, we're going to bring you some fun local fall events, so check back for that. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you have any questions that my team and I can help you with, thanks again. We'll see you soon.